You're listening to a special AI-powered training session generated based on my original research and training documents. While the voices you are about to hear are AI-generated, the insights come directly from my verified material.
Welcome to the Epic Zero Show. Today we are unpacking Module 154, Lessons for Applied AI Leaders. This quote, it really nails the central tension for any leader in our field. You see, your job isn't to be a fortune teller, it's to engineer resilience. So what's our core thesis here? It's really quite simple. Leading in AI, well, it's a game of fundamentals. It is all about mastering predictable cycles and building robust, reliable systems. We are not chasing miracles here. This is our foundation. So let's start with our first lesson, the pattern of hype. History provides a pretty clear map. AI has always moved in cycles. It starts with these huge promises, think back to the Dartmouth workshop in 1956, and then it leads to the funding droughts, the so-called AI winters that followed. And right now, well, we're likely in another peak, a period of intense hype and, frankly, some seriously inflated expectation. So what does this mean for you as a leader? Your strategic mandate, your core job, is to build systems that are robust to capability stagnation. You have to assume this exponential curve we're riding will eventually flatten. You need to plan for it. You need to build for it. Now, this pattern of hype is fueled by a very common misunderstanding, and that brings us directly to Lesson 2, the illusion of generalization. Think back. The world saw a machine master chess and immediately assumed general intelligence was just around the corner. But the actual reality? It was a brilliant but incredibly specialized system. That very same system, that chess grandmaster, it couldn't even play a simple game of checkers. It was a narrow success. And the exact same principle applies today. Large language models are incredibly powerful tools, no question about it. But they are narrow tools. Their primary domain is text. They are not a magic gateway to artificial general intelligence. It is crucial to remember that. Which brings me to a critical warning for every leader listening. Do not bet the farm on the imminent arrival of AGI. Your job, your real job, is to deliver concrete, measurable value with the powerful, narrow tools we have at our hands today. Okay, so if it isn't algorithmic magic, then what is really driving all this progress? Well, that brings us to Lesson 3, and it's all about the primacy of scale. Let's really consider the why behind these breakthroughs. AlexNet's victory back in 2012 wasn't some revolutionary new algorithm. Nope. It was the application of GPUs to the absolutely massive ImageNet dataset. The same story goes for GPT-3. Its huge leap forward was a function of pure brute force scale. We're talking 175 billion parameters trained on 300 billion tokens of text. So the lesson here is pretty blunt. The real competitive moat in AI today is not some secret algorithm. It is access to data and compute, period. Yes, algorithm improvements matter, but scale has been the decisive factor. Just think about that number again, 175 billion. That is a number of parameters in GPT-3. This isn't just an incremental step. This is a completely different category of engineering. This is what scale looks like. But here's the thing, just having a massive model isn't enough. In fact, that kind of scale creates its own very unique set of problems. And that brings us to Lesson 4, the research production gap. This chart illustrates a painful truth. In a research demo, a model can look incredible, showing a 90% success rate. But take that same system, put it into production, and suddenly it can fail 40% of the time. The reason is something called distribution shift. Simply put, the real world is messy. So, as a leader, your focus has to shift away from pure novelty and towards solid engineering fundamentals. I'm talking about reliability, constant vigilant monitoring, having robust fallback systems for when things go wrong, and, of course, relentless cost optimization. These are the pillars of production AI. All right, all of this, the hype, the narrowness, the scale, the production gap, it all leads us to our final capstone lesson, a leader's mandate for governance. The simple reality is that regulation is always going to be playing catch-up. The EU AI Act, for example, is a landmark piece of legislation, for sure, but it's largely regulating the technology of yesterday. We simply cannot wait for governments to tell us the right thing to do. Instead, the responsibility falls on you. You have to build audit-ready systems from day one, and that requires a specific playbook. First, document everything. Second, conduct proactive red teaming to find your own flaws. Third, implement rigorous fairness testing. And fourth, prepare your systems for the regulation that you know is coming. And let me be absolutely clear on this point. Ethics and safety are not optional features. They are not nice-to-have add-ons. They are core, non-negotiable requirements for any system you deploy. Mitigating bias and preventing misuse, that is your fundamental responsibility. Okay, let's pull all these lessons together now into a single, cohesive playbook for leadership. This table really synthesizes our entire discussion. When it comes to hype cycles, you build for resilience, not hype. For generalization, you deliver value with the narrow tools you have. For scale, your job is to secure data and compute. For production, you engineer for absolute reliability. And finally, for governance, you must lead with proactive responsibility. The pace of change in this field is only going to accelerate. So the crucial question I'll leave you with is this: are your leadership principles stable enough to guide you through what's coming?